Hello, Scott Golden here with the WCW Saturday Night version for the 19th of May, 1990. Wish it went into the 2000s that good wrestling existed back then, but 1990 is our year of the day. Hopefully, to have 1990 done by early next week at the latest, maybe even this weekend, depending on what my schedule holds. But anyway, 1990, a unique time in WCW history. Obviously, a couple of years into the promotion, actually about a year and a half, about a year and a half at this point. And they're trying. They're not getting very far, but they're trying anyway. Again, 1990 is kind of one of those times where there isn't a long term plan for things here, but at the same time, again, the effort's there. The desire to make things better is there, but they're not really getting everything they want out of the process here. And again, you know, um, Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, your main commentators at the time. We go to a opening with Mean Mark Callis, managed by Teddy Long, which is a little different. Paul Heyman, aka Paulie Dangerously, not the manager for Mean Mark Callis, aka the man later known as The Undertaker at the time. Teddy Long is that individual, and we move in through things there. Featuring Jim Ross on location, Washington, D.C., including Ross trying to get an interview with Sting and Robocop upon their arrival at the Washington Armory, but Ross was held back by security, also featuring Gordon Soley subbing for Jim Ross and Ole Anderson, Barry Windham, and Luger, with Luger noting people like J.J. Dillon, women, and other horsemen couldn't interfere in their upcoming steel cage match, and that he wouldn't ask for another title shot if he didn't win the championship in the middle of the ring, featuring a video package dating back to the Clash of the Champions 10, recapping the feud between Sting and the Horsemen, following a promo by Ole Anderson regarding Sting, Lex Luger, and Robocop, basically where he in fact says that the nature of this whole thing is goofy because each of the horsemen will have a role in getting rid of the distractions and ultimately making sure Sting is taken out more permanently. Mark Callis with Teddy Long defeats Brian Johnson with a knee to the chest following a heart punch in 55 seconds. Complete dominance. I think this is one of Mean Mark's first matches in the area. Maybe within a few months of it. But I mean, certainly, he's here in 1990 and on top of the world. Jack Victory and Rip Morgan with Lord Littlebrook defeating Rick Ryder and Rocky King 1 minute 49 seconds. Morgan pinning Ryder after a double front suplex. They are doing the beginnings of the Secret Service gimmick, or at least the midpoint of it. A little bit of secrecy, trying to get some, I don't even know, I guess you'd say, value out of that, or something. Jack Victory, of course, predominant in the world class area, could certainly be seen as a guy that they could have done a whole lot more with at the time. Also, confrontations with the Horsemen, highlight package with Luger taking out both horsemen. Of course, Luger a former horseman, Sting a former horseman. Horseman a big deal, obviously being the day of the return of RoboCop Capital Combat pay-per-view. They're more interested in hype and, of course, the matches from previous points. Luger and Flair in a cage for the first time ever for the NWA Championship, at least on television. I'm sure they did cage matches around the loop. At least I'm pretty sure they would have done cage matches around the loop at the time, although they're claiming that it's the first cage match ever. I don't necessarily buy that, but anyway, the layout by the Horsemen of Luger and Sting finally makes him run in. Of course, RoboCop, the intellectual properties of Turner Home Entertainment, and the brawl that involves just about everybody checking in on Luger and all of that. Horsemen promise that they will get rid of Sting, Luger, and everybody else. coming into that whole run. The return of RoboCop, not exactly a stellar pay-per-view, but there, and Luger promises that he will not ask for another championship match ever if he doesn't win here. The Is Norman's body slam the best? Challenge, actually calling a 900 number to vote on yes or no. Yes, a 900 number scams at an all-time high here in 1990 WCW for sure. Then we go to Rick Ryder and Rocky King against that royal family, as mentioned, which is the Lord Littlebrook. They're kind of trying to do an English gimmick. It does not go well. Again, that match running about 1 minute 49 seconds, and Jack Victory, certainly a guy who could do so much more, but wasted here. Then we go to Norman the Lunatic doing a hula hoop gimmick along the way here. Mike Rotundo, his friend, for lack of a better term, trying really hard to get some craziness and a little bit out there. Rotundo in a match in an enhancement role here. Mike Rotundo, after doing the Varsity Club thing in '89, certainly dropping into a much, lower rank, for lack of a better term, here in the spring of 1990. Needless to say, certainly kind of getting something together and trying to anyway. Then we go to the nature of getting some punch kick and ultimately, it's, he kind of gets a couple of drop kicks under the chin, among other things, and needless to say that Mike Rotundo with Norman defeating Pat Rose, 244, beat them with an airplane spin, relatively ineffective match. Just kind of there to fill time, but again, kind of having a lack of clear definition of what's needed or wanted in this particular program, with the pay-per-view being that night. Fatu and the Samoan Savage defeating William Bell and John Rayner, 155. Samoan Savage defeating Rayner following top rope splash. Samoan SWAT team returning in a new, I guess you'd say, new outlook or a new way of being around that time for sure. Although I wouldn't necessarily say it's an ideal situation, as the Samoan SWAT team really doesn't have much of a major run here in 1990, although they do get a few good matches with the Midnight Express and all of that. Midnight Express here in 1990 certainly not treated with the level of respect that they have earned as a team. Highlights of RoboCop being part of things. Also upcoming after the victory with the top rope splash by the Samoan SWAT team, the Southern Boys against Joe Cruz and other individual in an enhancement match. Obviously, Southern Boys, Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong. They are Wild-Eyed Southern Boys are a good tag team, getting a lot of play at the time. And the enhancement talents take Steve Armstrong back to the corner. Obviously, Tracy Smothers believing that he's going to be a major guy at the time. Armstrong gets a couple drop kicks off and clotheslines before the double team maneuver for the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys, getting a victory in pretty quick and decisive fashion here. Gordon Solie still hyping Capital Combat for later in the day, and ultimately trying to get people to really pop on that pay-per-view, which obviously from a box office standpoint does not happen. Anyway, then we move to another in the series of highlight packages, once again reminding us that Flair and everything is coming together. Also, the nature of the brawl-arounds and all of that is there. Highlight package including the Clash 10 Thunderdome kind of match there, And needless to say, the Horsemen are pretty dominant through that. We will obviously go back to that run and the fire up by Sting, reminding Lex Luger that he needs to win the championship. This is Luger's last opportunity for a little while. And the other Samoan is in there, Fatu in there, and kind of cutting things off. Six-man tag team match here in your main event slot. Six-man tag team contest ends up being a bit of a, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily call it a cluster, but certainly a disjointed match, perhaps. As Tommy Rich, Johnny Ace, and Tommy Rich, Johnny Ace, and Eddie Gilbert facing Dutch Mantel, Samu, and Lee Scott. Broadcast ends 5 minutes into the contest, so not even really, counting that much because I mean, there's not even a finish, and if the programmers don't care, then why would anybody really care about covering it? Anyway, we will be back with more right after this.